Wow. Can you hear me well? Yes. First of all, I want to say thank you, family, for making the trek to support these students. And I welcome you to this graduation because they have done so much to earn it. So thank you, family. So I want you to know that every graduation marks an ending and a beginning. But some graduations mark something so much more, a hinge point in history itself. Yes. And you're sitting on one right now. You came expecting a celebration, a time to honor hard work, success, and sacrifice. And we will celebrate at the banquet. But what's happening here is far greater than a ceremony, because God is stepping into something that looks ordinary to reveal something what is extraordinary. These graduates are stepping into history's final chapter. Come on. This isn't poetic, it's prophetic. History's final chapter is the moment Scripture prepares us for. When the seals unfold, the trumpet announces his next steps. The nations feel the shift of his hand. And ultimately, the king returns just as he promised. And these students before you have spent the last 2 years studying end times, the book of Revelation, and eschatology. The signs, the warnings, the promises, and yes, the blessed hope. They didn't just learn theology. They learned to see things the way God reveals it. Come on now. They already know how the story ends. And what they carry isn't information. It's revelation. It's calling. It's God placing something into them that was never meant to stay silent. Graduates, in just a few minutes, you're going to cross the stage. Your families will cheer, cameras will flash. It may look like a typical graduation, but what no one in the audience can see were the battles behind the scenes. The sicknesses some of you guys endured while you're going through this class. Deaths in the family that shook you to your core. Financial issues, life challenges. Some of you even stayed up late, past midnight, with Revelation 13 open on your kitchen table, wrestling with the passages that shook you to your core. Truths that made you close the commentary and hold your head and say, Lord, this is a lot. This is a lot. But you know what? You made it. You made it. And you're here. And that changes everything. Because now you stand at the doorway of something far greater than a diploma. You're stepping into destiny. Yes. You didn't faint. You didn't quit. And because you persevered, you're not just receiving a diploma. You're receiving an assignment. And that assignment has 2 layers. The first one is your individual destiny. God has positioned each of you in specific families, workplaces, neighborhoods, churches, and yes, even nations, where you're the only one that will carry end times truth. No one has your voice, your reach, and your assignment. And the second is your collective destiny. Because together, you're stepping into your role as a final generation of watchmen. A generation called to see clearly, to speak boldly, to stand faithfully in a world that desperately needs what you carry. You know, some of you may hear the words history's final chapter and assume it sounds dramatic. But the evidence doesn't whisper, it screams. Technology today is marching into Revelation 13 with stunning accuracy.
Yes, yes.
We have digital IDs,
Yes.
biometric scans, facial recognition,
Yes.
cashless systems,
Right.
government-issued digital currency. The very infrastructure that Revelation describes is no longer theoretical.
Right.
It's becoming everyday reality. Moral confusion is increasing.
Right.
Right is called wrong. Wrong is called right. Truth is redefined. Foundations once unshakable are now questioned and even dismissed. We're not drifting into darkness. We're living in the days that prophets of old longed to see. We're literally watching prophecy take form right before your eyes. And here is what makes this moment unlike anything else. We are the first generation in human history to see all the prophetic signs converging at one time. It tells us that Scripture is not behind us. It's unfolding right in front of us. In a world drowning with questions, God is raising up a generation that carries the answers. A generation prepared to stand in the hour Scripture said would come. You know, in 2024, I sat where these graduates are sitting right now. And on that day, I proudly received my degrees, as you will shortly. But receiving my degrees weren't the turning point for me. 3 days after my graduation, I was in a grocery store. And I looked at the lady checking me out, my bag boy, the lady behind me putting her groceries up on the conveyor belt. And something hit me and I said, they may have no idea what's coming. And that stopped me cold. Because God pressed something so deeply into me at that moment, I couldn't shake it. I thought, no one should have to face the tribulation without somebody telling them. And when God shows you the truth, you become responsible for people who can't see it. I couldn't stand quiet, and I couldn't blend in, and I couldn't pretend I didn't know what I knew. Because when God puts fire in your bones, silence becomes disobedience. So I spoke, I taught, I wrote, and I carried the message the best way that I could. And last year I wrote a book about the rapture and the tribulation. Not as entertainment, and not as a side project, but as a warning, a final wake-up call, an invitation before time runs out. And hear me, that same fire God put in me, that He lit in me, that same conviction He placed in my life, is burning in these graduates right now.
Yes, yes.
What began in me in 2024 continues in them today. And they're not here by accident. They're here by assignment. You know, there are many Bible colleges across the nation. Faithful schools doing faithful work. But there's only one institution whose mission, its heartbeat, is to prepare believers for the final chapter of God's prophetic timeline. And that's WORDWISE Institute of Hospitality. This school is not an accident of history. It's an assignment of God. And God trusted two incredible, amazing people with this assignment. Chancellor Dr. Curtis Dodson and his lovely wife, Dr. Jalay Dotson. They didn't build WordWise for prestige, or for money, or for reputation, or for academic applause. They built it because they saw a church unaware of the end of the story. And they refused to let another generation walk blind into the time Scripture said has already been revealed.
Right.
So they built a place where revelation, end times, and eschatology is not avoided. It's embraced.
Yes.
It's not minimized. It's magnified.
Amen.
It's not treated as a mystery, but taught as a mandate.
Yeah.
And because of that obedience, WordWise doesn't simply educate. It awakens. And it awakened me in 2024,
Yes.
and it awakened these graduates sitting before you today. And to every parent, spouse, family member, hear me. They're not carrying knowledge, just carrying knowledge. They're carrying the blessed hope.
Right.
So after today, when the celebration settles, I want you to take time to sit with them, look them in the eye, and ask them what God showed them. Ask them what Scripture opened up their understanding, what shifted in their spirit, what shook them awake. Because you're not just living with ordinary students. You're living with scholars, soon to be doctors, who have spent the last 2 years studying the final chapter of human history. They carry the answer to the question you or your family will ask when tragedy hits in the news and it breaks and the world stops making sense. They carry something weighty, something holy, something the world desperately needs. And God never pours out truth without pouring it into something that can be carried. So graduates, hear me. Your voice matters. And the moment is coming, sudden, certain, unstoppable, when everything Scripture foretold will unfold exactly the way God said it would. And the world needs your voices to tell the truth. Because you are the conduits of truth for a generation that's running out of time. Graduates, there will also come a day when you stand before the Bema seat, the place where all believers go to account for what they did, for what they were given. And the question that will echo throughout eternity will be, did you tell them? Not did you post it, not did you think about it, not did you wish you did, but did you, in your voice, with your time, with your courage, tell them?
Yes.
Did you tell the ones God placed in your path, that difficult neighbor, that stubborn friend that doesn't want to hear it? Did you warn the ones who didn't know? Did you speak while there's still time? Because you're being sent for this very reason. So no one in your world could say, no one told me. Your cap may represent completion, but the mantle on your life represents assignment. And all of heaven is watching you right now for what you will do after today ends. Because when your cap comes off, your calling rises. Don't forget, your diploma marks what you finished, but your calling marks what you're commissioned to do.
Right. Yes.
So go. Speak with boldness, because truth still saves.
Yes. Yes.
Warn with compassion, because time is running short. Stand with unshakable courage, because Jesus is coming. You're not stepping into uncertainty. You're stepping into revelation, into destiny. Today, you just didn't finish your studies at WORDWISE. You stepped into the story God is writing in this generation. You didn't come here to get a degree. You think you may have. You came here to get a message. You didn't graduate to build a resume. You graduated to sound the alarm. So walk into rooms that other people are running out of. Speak the truth that others are too afraid to say. Be the voice that saves a life that's running out of time. Because somewhere in the world, a coworker, a neighbor, a friend, a family member, and yes, even a church member, is waiting for the truth that only your voice was assigned to deliver. You may be the only person that they'll hear it from. You're not only the graduating class of WORDWISE for 2025, you're the watchman of history's final hour.
Yes.
So class of 2025,
Yes.
you're graduating into history's final chapter. So now go. Speak while there's breath. Warn while there's time. Save who you can save. And change the world before the world changes forever.
Did not our hearts burn